Michael Adams, our guest. He is a pollster, but you also study social values and all of that. Your official title now is President of Environics Institute. Has there been some changes?
Well, I started an institute, if you want to hear about that. So I founded Environics, became a big market research company, so on. Then somebody said, Michael, could you try to be as interesting in print as you are over a glass of Chardonnay? And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll try. And that was the first book, Sex in the Snow, 1997.
Yes.
And then I did Better Happy Than Rich, Fire and Ice, and the others that you and I have talked about. 5 years ago, I started an institute, Fanny, to do research that wasn't being done in Canada that I thought should be done. So we surveyed Muslims in Canada, the new other in our midst. Do they want to be separate communities? Do they want to integrate? I did an urban Aboriginal people study in 10 cities across the country. I shouldn't say I did it, with my advisory circle of Aboriginal people.
Right.
We did it here in Vancouver and right across the country. What are Aboriginal people telling us about being a successful person in our cities? And I want to do a study of the social values of Israelis and Palestinians. After I bring peace to Canada, wouldn't peace to the Middle East help? So I'm a baby boomer keeping busy, Fanny.
Yes, could you call up Gaddafi and see if you can maybe broker the peace or do something, for heaven's sakes? Let's go back to your tribes. Can you teach all these tribes new tricks? And there's a chapter in your book called Old Dogs' New Tricks. In other words, to embrace technology, or else are some tribes resisting?
Yeah. Well,
never go on Facebook.
Okay, there are
never tweet.
Not too many early adopters, right? These are the kids, right? Usually the young guys, but young girls are into it too. So they actually look like they programmed the device that they've got, right? It's unbelievable. They don't read the manual, they just know it, right? Well, we don't know it, right? So then there's the emulators who come after the early adopters. They buy it because they just want a pink one to show off, or a cool one, skull and crossbones on my iPod or something. The next ones are the pragmatic enthusiasts. That's where we boomers come in. And it's not we're changing so much, is that the smart people in marketing are realizing we're a big market. And if they can get us into the new technology, we'll use it. But we use it, it's got to be easy. So remember that VCR? Well, the VCR we used to try to program your show when we weren't able to do it. We never figured out how to do it. Now we're actually being able to use technology. It's much more user-friendly. And even so, the autonomous rebels used it because they wanted to connect to the world. They wanted to be part, that was in the workplace. Connected enthusiasts wanted to connect to people like themselves. We're now finding that the disengaged Darwinists and the anxious communitarians are into technology too. Smartphones, all the new technologies, and of course the disengaged Darwinists can use it to bite back when they want to fight back against the bank or against the telephone company. So we're all using the technology, but we're using it either for instrumental purposes, like using it to get information about something you want to do, or to connect to other people emotionally, which again, more the outer directed people are more into that. To use the phone, I want to hear my mom's voice. Are you okay, Mom? Yes. Or your kid who's at home sick, but you're at work. How are you doing, dear? I'm fine, Mom. Okay. And then is the hot soup? Can you serve yourself some hot soup? So we are connecting in ways, and it's funny about it. It's not making us more anxious. It's more they're tools we're using to be in control of our lives, emotionally and in terms of the utility of the media. So all the boomers are embracing it, and I think the marketers are aware of that.
But still concerned about privacy. Unlike the Gen Ys, don't seem to be as concerned about privacy.
Have you seen Facebooks and people, drunk and all this stuff on it, which they think they're bragging, and we're saying, I guess we think, we feel a bit guilty. Okay, maybe we grew up, like me as a Catholic, like you sin, then you get forgiveness, then you sin again. But you don't need it all over the front page of the Globe and Mail.
No.
So there is a concern about that. Also, we're concerned about somebody getting a hold of our information and, maybe taking all the money out of our bank account. The kids are more open about their social behavior, and they're more trusting of the system that they can give out information that won't be used against them. Sometimes, however, they get in trouble too.
Yes. That is so true. Now, who's going to pay for us? Are we concerned about that? Are we making proper plans? I know that many boomers have resources, but some don't.
Well, we're like the worst country in the world except for all the others. The one social group we have been very good with is seniors. Like that, you go way back. I mean, Otto von Bismarck You know, the first pensions were for seniors. Now, he said he had to be 70. Well, there were about 3 guys that got to be 70, or not guys, women who got to be 70. But as time went on, we lowered the age. Taking care of seniors has been pretty good on the Canadian agenda, with the old age security, the income supplement, Canada Pension Plan. Under Chrétien's government, we vested that money. Rather than just give it out, we actually put it and invested it. So we're covered for the next 10 or 20 years.
Sure.
We should be. The areas, I guess, where we're going to be in trouble are healthcare. But because the problem is that new technology, new pills, new this. I mean, in the paper you can read, here's some pill or something that somebody can take, and oh my God, it's going to cost us, you know, taxpayers, a huge amount of money. So that's going to increase what we have to put into our wonderful public system. And then you've got boomers who don't wait because they don't defer to authority. So if you can't give me my hip replacement or take care of my kid, I am going to want an alternative. And we're seeing a growing number of us, if there isn't on-time delivery, then we want alternatives.
Sure,
and we'll
private clinics go south.
Go to the States, this this medical tourism and so on. So you're going to see a lot more choice because boomers will demand it.
Sure. What about materialism? Are we leaving it a bit?
Stuff is heavy, and I think we're thinking, I got enough stuff. I think I want experience. So rather than brag about the new car you bought or the big house you've got, you're saying, I don't need to do that. I did that, right? The kids are gone.
Sure.
Why don't I downsize, and why don't I put my money into experiences? And the experience can be everything from just going to the zoo with your grandchild or being an angel investor to help a grandchild or someone start something, a project. That's an experience as well, and bringing your experience, or it's going on that bucket list trip to, you know, to Tahiti.
Yeah, less is more.
Yes, less is more.
And we're happy about that.
It's weight,
Smaller
it's heavy.
car,
Yeah,
okay.
all that stuff, you have to dust it or you clean it or, you know, like you don't need it. You can rent it.
Well, you know, in a funny way, we seem to be going back to hippiedom.
Well,
like the old Volkswagen van, the commune.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we could start by walking. We could start by a zip car, maybe. We could think about alternative means of getting from A to B. And 2 or 3 cars, it's expensive, right? Running it, fuel's more expensive, insurance is expensive. So yeah, people are going to downsize and say, I want to put that money into something that makes me feel good now.
Yes.
And it's relationships with other people. It's the key to happiness, right? It's not stuff, it's people. And if you're doing well with the people around you, you can be a pretty happy person. And happy people live longer than those who aren't.
You got that right. I don't do sad, no. So when you put this all together and did all the research, was there something that shocked you or surprised you about how boomers really are, how they work, they play, they find meaning?
They're not becoming their parents. This inevitable idea that when you get old, like you're all done and there's no energy left and so on, they're reinventing what it is to be older. In fact, they'll never be older. They'll be baby boomers, right? It's their parents who became elders, so they're even that narcissistic. So I think the sense then that the values that they had in their youth, they're carrying through to the best of their ability to live it out. And then the only thing they really regret is at their funeral, they won't able to be there. Be there, but they'll leave a little money for a great party.
Right.
And say something nice about me.
And we may make a video so that we'll be there.
That's a business opportunity.
Yeah.
Very big business opportunity, right?
I want to write my own obit.
Yeah. And the grandchildren are going to do a PowerPoint or a video of you, and they're going to show it, and you're going to say, that's great, let's do that.
Yeah. Here's Mother. I know we used to play Amazing Grace, but she wants to talk.
Yeah. And maybe with editing, she'll sound great.
Exactly. Oh, nice to see you again. Thanks for doing
Fanny.
this. Staying Alive, the Bee Gees sang it.
Yes.
How Canadian baby boomers will work, play, and find meaning in the second half. Coming up, her roots and humanitarian spirit drive her to help the poor and disenfranchised in Zimbabwe. Stay with us for the Hear Africa story.